Good evening, everyone. I've been thinking recently about compatibility and what it means to be compatible with others, both in my relationships, primarily with my wife Sabrina, and also within my faith. For those who don't know, my name's Alistair, and that's my wife Sabrina in the photo there. That's us after our second wedding. Not because of a lack of compatibility after the first, but because we got married, our official wedding over in Texas, and our second wedding was here in Dumfries. And then we went on a hike after that one, as you can see in the photo. For those who know me, they will probably recognise I'm a very hard individual to be compatible with. I'll say no more than that. But also, for those who know Sabrina and I, might wonder, what is it that makes Sabrina and I so compatible? On almost every box ticking, we are so different. Sabrina is into bright colours, is exuberant, is an extrovert. I'm very introverted. Sabrina's currently doing some plant boxes in her back garden, and she's sending me pictures of the lovely pink she's making them as she paints. Me, on the other hand, for example, all my socks are my favourite shade of black. Across the board, I've always been really sporty and active. Sabrina's been a lot more artsy and indoorsy. This is the one ever run we've been on together throughout all our dating and married life. I'm a huge action junkie myself. Sabrina is just happiest when she's around looking at animals and just doing fun things like that. The uglier the better, I think Sabrina thinks. I look at that picture and I just see some food. But Sabrina loves this so much so that she also almost missed our engagement. For those who don't know, she was so determined to see the ironically pink flamingos at the opposite end of the zoo before it closed that we almost missed the last kind of time we could get into the Japanese garden where I'd planned to propose that same day. But we do try and do things together, even if it's not fully successful.
Slowly, let it go, and just remember, keep your feet right in front of you on that wall. As high, yeah, see, you got it. Now just keep your feet as high up as you can.
That was Sabrina attempting some rock climbing when we were dating. Here's me attempting to dress myself, of which apparently I'm terrible. Sabrina is a very wonderful dresser of both herself and all the rest of her family. This is me attempting something artsy and cross-stitch and being continually bamboozled by what's going on. So we do try and do things together, but ultimately there still isn't much practically that makes us compatible. But we're married, we're still married, we still love each other, so does this actually mean we're compatible? It makes me think of a C.S. Lewis quote, and that's a C.S. Lewis quote that I guess has stuck with me all my life. Love in the second sense, love as distinct from being in love, is not merely a feeling. It is a deep unity maintained by the will and deliberately strengthened by habit, reinforced by, in Christian marriages, the grace which both partners ask and receive from God. They can have this love for each other even at those moments when they do not like each other, as you love yourself even when you do not like yourself. They can retain this love even when each would easily, if they allowed themselves, be in love with someone else. Being in love first moved them to promise fidelity. This quieter love enables them to keep the promise. It is on this love that the engine of marriage is run. Being in love is the explosion that started it. So are Sabrina and I compatible? In the sense of the second love that C.S. Lewis talks about, 100%. We are actively choosing each day through the grace of God to be compatible with each other. Then I think about my faith. What does it mean to be compatible in a relationship with God? John 1 says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." We read that in him Jesus was life, and the life was the light of men. Like, we're designed to be compatible with God, just as Jesus was. Unfortunately, sin means that on every single practical level, we are wholly incompatible with God. Just like Sabrina and I practically are incompatible in so many ways, we are also, through our sin, incompatible with God. But then we read in Matthew 27, "And about the 9th hour Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani?" That is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" We are incompatible with God through our sin, but Christ made himself incompatible with God through his death, as we read here. And it's through that and his resurrection, which we read about in Luke 24, his ascension back into heaven, that reconciles us with God. Luke 24, while he blessed them, he parted from them and was carried up into heaven. Jesus, through his sacrifice, has reconciled himself, has made us recompatible with God. And then I think back to this C.S. Lewis quote, and just what it says there at the end. That so many times in my faith, there's this initial surge of desire for being in a close relationship with God. It's this, explosion, the being in love, the conversion event that brought me to Christ. But then subsequently to that, I need to move into the second form of love with God. This quieter love that enables me to keep my promise to God. Practically, I'm still incompatible with God. I still sin. But each and every day, I ask for that grace from God and I receive it. Such that even honestly, when I might not like God, when I might not want a relationship with him, I actively choose to be compatible with him through the death of Jesus Christ. And that to me is just a wonderful example of, or thought of, what it means to be compatible. It's a choice. It's not a practical thing, but it's how we choose what we were designed to be in relationship with God.